Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Mm.
we made it. Ryan's
What's up?
chewing. If Baka was
Mm-mm.
here, I'd call you
Prove it.
Chewbacca.
No, because I'm not Chewbacca. Baka is Chewbacca.
Baka is Baka, right? Yeah, exactly. So welcome everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. I had to put Ryan on there right after he took a bite of his sandwich.
It's a bruschetta.
Oh, it's a bruschetta.
Bruschetta. See
Ah,
how
look at
delicious it looks. Well, you can't see all the different colors because the camera's too bright, but you get the idea.
man.
It's a bruschetta.
I want that. You know what I would do
It's
with
pretty
that?
darn good. Hmm.
Put squeeze cheese on it.
Eat it? Oh, you wouldn't even eat it. You just torture it with squeeze cheese. I see.
I would put squeeze cheese on it. I still have this dream. Like I want to go to this place. There's this sushi, like all you can eat sushi place. It's like, $30 a person or whatever. It's ridiculously, it's pricey,
Mm-hmm.
you go and you
Yeah.
just sit down and they bring you stuff and whatever. I just want to bring a can of squeeze cheese in there and I want to order a bunch of stuff and I want to put squeeze cheese on everything they bring out.
Could you imagine? Oh no, that's the perfect place to do that too, because they're generally the most, I don't know, purists, if you will.
Yes, you're
Like,
right.
yeah, yeah, wow, that's
That'd be
brilliant.
great. It would be super offensive though. Like I'd be
I
like,
would love to see you get kicked out of the restaurant for doing that. That's amazing.
yeah.
I love it.
Yep. And I know, $30 a person may not seem all that expensive. I don't go to very many restaurants though, so like, I don't know, it's expensive to me.
Restaurants are expensive.
Mhm.
I mean, last time I ate out, I think it was like 24 to $27 for just one meal. And it's just like, I can make this at home for like $3.
Mhm. Yep.
So
But it's
yeah,
expensive.
but it's the experience. It was at $70 for two of us. That's what it was. Oh my gosh. So it was not, so it wasn't even, it's ridiculous.
It is.
$70 for
It's
two
crazy.
people.
Well, and that's if like seriously, like especially drinks are expensive. Oh my gosh, like if you get
Yeah.
anything to drink, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Take my squeeze cheese confession to the confessional. I'll take squeeze cheese to the confessional and I'll say, "Father, hold out your hand." That's my
And
penance,
he'll be
right?
like, what have you done to me? What sin is this you've just exerted onto my hand? I don't know what to.
Be like, just eat it. It's so good.
Let me go get the holy water.
It was a gift, like
Clean my
I
hands.
gave you
Mm,
squeeze cheese
that's right.
on hand. It's so good.
Squeeze cheese on hand. Oh man.
It's the
Have
best.
you ever had like a you ever had like a open faced squeeze cheese hand sandwich? It's just
I have. I mean, not. I didn't put it on my whole hand, right? Like I just put
yeah,
like
well you
I.
should.
Okay,
That's
I'll do
definitely
it.
the thing to do.
I'm gonna do it.
Open face squeeze cheese hand sandwich.
Open face squeeze cheese hand sandwich. It's perfect. It is not
Uh-huh.
the food of the devil, August. August.
No, we are the food of the devil because because mosquitoes
Oh,
are the spawn of Satan and we are their food. And so therefore we are the food of the spawn of Satan and we are the food of the devil.
we're not the only food.
Okay. What else does the devil like to consume?
Well, mosquitoes, like they'll land on anything that's breathing carbon dioxide and has a pulse and blood and stuff.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, well, I say breathing carbon dioxide. They breathe out carbon dioxide because that's what mosquitoes are attracted to, apparently. So, if you really want to
Yeah.
just not have any mosquitoes around, you just stop breathing.
And apparently specific light what's the word? Light frequencies. I didn't know that until I moved here in Australia, but they have technology that's just it's a light that shoots out one frequency of light, a very specific one, and mosquitoes are attracted to it for some reason.
Huh. And they all go over there, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Well, I'm gonna have to research that because mosquitoes suck
Yeah.
around here, man. Like,
Yeah.
and we're getting
It's
into
weird.
we're fast approaching mosquito season.
Mm.
We're getting
Well, it
done with
works
the
though.
blizzard season. We're gonna enter mosquito
That's
season.
true. Yeah. That's true.
You wait, Wolfrix, you
Wow.
bite your dad's fingers. That's interesting.
Hmm.
And Marhandi, being a sweaty
As long as
person
he's okay with it.
attracts mosquitoes too. So be sure not to be
Mm.
icky sticky. I don't know, man. Like sometimes, like when it's hot out, sometimes you can't help but sweat. You ever had? Well, maybe
Well,
Ryan can, but like
no, I can't relate because I don't sweat so
right,
very much.
yeah. So I mean, like there are days when you just stand out there and you sweat.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are definitely days where it's very hot and you're just like can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need to bring a towel with you, a kerchief, if you will.
Ooh, a kerchief.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
Mm-hmm.
fancy.
Yeah, it's like a handkerchief,
Right.
but you didn't hank into it yet, so it's just a
So it's
kerchief.
just a kerchief.
That's right.
Okay. Perfect. The BSS kerchief. We
Yeah.
should make that. We should make that. That's something I could
Yeah.
ship out.
While most people
It's not a
pre-hank
food
into
item.
their kerchiefs,
Yeah,
these ones from BSS are actually clean.
but it's handkerchief. It's not handker. I understand where you're coming from.
Everyone says handkerchief.
I know, it's funny. And then they shorten it to hanky.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Not handy.
Not
Mm-hmm.
handy. It's just hanky, right?
That's
and then,
right.
Yeah. But then there's hanky panky, and that's a whole different
Oh yeah.
subject,
Well, you can just go ahead and turn yourself around at that point.
Wait, that's hokey pokey.
Yeah, but that's what it's all about.
That's not... what? Don't. You're absolutely right, August. Don't ask for a handy.
That's
exactly.
Well, you could say, "Could you give me a hand?" No.
Right.
Could you give me a handy?
Ooh, all right. We've gone this direction. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is our Wednesday show where it's all about you guys, your topics, you guys in the chat. You can feel free to drop a topic in the chat for us. You can also go to our website, don'tworrywednesday.com. There is a link if you scroll up in the chat a ways. Kat's so graciously put the links in the chat for us, which is awesome. Thank you, Katz, for doing that. But yep, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and then we would be happy to grab a hold of it and talk about it here on our stream. So we are not professional therapists. We're not professional counselors. We're not anything like that. We're not attorneys. So if you have some kind of legal thing that we're talking about, we might be able to offer some insight, but we're not a substitute for good legal advice. Or we're not police officers either, so we can't get you out of a jam, right? But we are happy to talk about it. We're happy to be your friend. We're happy to, listen and, help you get to the bottom of whatever it can. We just want to help in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes the best thing somebody could do is just be a friend and listen and let you know that you're okay, that it's gonna be okay, that you're not alone, and there are people that are pulling for you. Sometimes that can go
sometimes it goes a long way.
Such great lengths, just to have a friend. Like, man, when I was in therapy, that was one of the first questions my therapist asked me in our first session was, who are your friends? What's your support network? Like who are the people that are around you that you can talk to, that you can confide in? Who are these people? Because that's a really important group of people to have around you. And if we can offer any bit of consolation or perspective or anything like that on this show, that's what we want to do. So again, we're not a substitute for therapy, and we're not professionals in this area, but we do want to help, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and put your topic right in there, and we'd be happy to do it. So we do have some topics. One of them comes
Yes,
from
we do. Thank you,
August
guys.
here. Yeah, thank you guys for responding to the call for topics. So yeah,
We do still need more, but because we've got 2, and we're probably going to do both of them today.
yes, I think you're probably right. Also, it's good to be back. I will say, Katz, you did such an awesome, amazing job last week. I was there
Great
for
job.
part of it. You know, I jumped on right at the beginning for a little bit. I had my boys with me, and you know, so we were there for just a little bit at the beginning, and then I watched it later. And Gio was on there. So Gio, you did an awesome job too. Thank you for your fitness advice. You guys did great. I was so excited to listen to you guys. So, yes, we will, I'm sure anytime, we'll do it again. It'll be good. So Katz is the substitute. Joe, I don't know about that.
I think that from now on,
I don't think she was.
there isn't a substitute. There's just it's like no one can replace the Joe.
I don't think she was mad enough.
That's right. You got to get more angry next time, Katz.
You're pretty good at being Joe.
Mm.
You gotta take your anger or stress level up about
Just got to be stressed a lot more.
5,000 notches.
Wow, that's a lot of notches.
Yep. I do not want to see you mad.
Signed some stuff. That's great.
You think I couldn't handle it?
Handle what?
Seeing Katz mad.
Oh, do you not want to see me mad? I see.
You're right. I don't want to.
That's true.
I don't want to see you mad, you know, for sure. But I think I could handle it. I have to look at myself, and I'm mad, you know, like.
That's true. That's true. You do.
Oh, Zay heard you mad last night, and he was shivering. Shivering in the boots. All right. Well, hey. Maybe I'll get to experience. I'll get to experience the angry cats one day. And
it's hard though, Joe, because even if you're angry, Joe, you just make everybody else so happy to be around you that generally you just don't. No one else is angry. It's just you.
Ryan.
That's my experience with you. I mean, and my experience is the only legitimate one because my opinion is right, and everybody else can go have their own experiences, and you can be legitimized if you want, but please sign up for my 30-day trial of whether you're right or wrong program.
All right.
I don't know what I just advertised, but anyways,
you offered. I think you offered a refund for something.
I think I just did. I don't know what I did, but anyways, Joe, you're great at making everybody else feel loved and happy and appreciated.
I appreciate you saying that. My superpower is that I absorb other people's anger around, but it makes me more angry.
I think that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But I've learned to utilize my anger, hopefully productively. I know I've talked about that on the show before. So, what do you say we get started? August, you've got a topic.
I'd love to.
And it says you want to be present, and it looks like you're present because you just said something.
August, are you here? No, I do. August, okay, well, whenever you show up in chat, we'll do your topic.
We'd be happy to do your topic, like, as soon as you get here.
Yeah, as soon as you get here. Just, take your time, I guess. In the fourth dimension. Oh, well, that's true. You was and never am here.
All right, cool. Well, then we'll do your topic, just because now I'm confused. Have a great rehearsal, Wolfrix.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Rehearsals can be
Have fun
fun.
with Cinderella. Mm-hmm.
I've spent lots of time in rehearsals, man.
Yeah.
It
It's
can
a
be
good time.
fun. It can be fun.
It can be real fun.
It can be. Yeah.
It
It
can
can.
try your patience.
It can make you angry.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing makes me angry though.
That's right.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing makes Joe angry. Joe is just already perpetually angry.
Yeah.
There's nothing that makes him angry. He just is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, all right, I'm going to get this topic up on the screen. This is called Fast Talker, and this comes from August. I'm going to wait, Tomato, you've spent a lot of time drinking in rehearsals. You know what? That sounds like it might be able to take the edge off of a rehearsal sometimes.
Mm. I wonder if it was part of their skit.
depends
part
on
of their
depends on the rehearsal. Drinking water. Yeah, stay
Right?
hydrated. Always stay hydrated. And always
Mm-hmm.
have mug water.
Mug water.
Mm.
It's great.
Sometimes
Mm.
hot mug water is good. Sometimes cold mug water is good. Lukewarm room temperature water is also good.
Mm-hmm. I
Good.
like lukewarm.
Yeah.
I like lukewarm mug water.
All right, so let's do this topic. It's called Fast Talker. It comes from August, and I will put it up on the screen so you guys can read along while I read it aloud. As soon as I get my poop in a group here. Here we go. All right. The topic reads as follows. Growing up, I was known to talk faster than other people. While over time, my normal talking speed has become more normal, what remains unchanged is how fast I speak during presentations. Even despite my efforts thus far, I always end up switching to a faster speed, whether it be at the beginning, midway, or end of my presentation. It's prominent enough that I still get comments about it on graded presentations. Haha. Do y'all have any insight or tips/tricks that you'd recommend?
Mm-hmm.
And that is from August. So, August, thank you so much. Apparently something happened. I was trying to get the new thing up in the box, and I failed miserably. We're gonna try again. Is it gonna work? Gonna work? It worked. Ha!
We're gonna find out.
Boom!
Boom.
Did it. Did it. Oh my gosh. Cats, you say you liked bath water. I got a story about drinking bath water that would make you probably not want to drink bath water.
Mm. I
But
mentioned bathwater ramen because both of us have had that before.
that's true, but yeah, okay. That's fine. Right? When you
Bathwater ramen
get
is
it when
fine.
you get it out of the tap with like you don't want to drink the water you're bathing in.
That's right. That is right. You don't
Right?
want to do that.
But I mean, it's just a water faucet, right? You can get water out of the faucet. It's a, I mean,
Mm.
it's just probably the same. Bath water ramen.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. So August, you say you were unintentionally speed. That's what you are.
I am unintentionally speed. I like that.
Yep. And I think that's a normal thing, especially when you're starting off doing public speaking, when you're doing presentations and stuff like that. Like it just kind of happens that you start to talk faster. Some of that is the nerves involved with the situation. Some of that has to do, actually, I think most of it probably has to do with the nerves. Some of it might have to do with the amount of information you're trying to expound, and so you might be trying to get through a lot of stuff quickly so you can get, make sure you cover all your points before you have to be done. Sometimes presentations are timed, and I don't know what It sounds to me like this is a thing that you're doing in school or college or university or someplace where you're doing presentations. Maybe it's at work, but there are different times and places when you have to do a presentation. I've done a fair amount of them in front of groups of people over, I don't know, a handful of years. When Ryan first met me, I was doing a lot of them.
Oh yeah, you're a lot,
I
lots
was
and lots.
I was speaking in front of people a lot, and that part of that has to do with just practicing, doing it, and knowing your material really, really well. And you can practice in a mirror, you can practice in front of people, and really start to read the responses you're getting from the room and from the people that you see out there, right? And like, are people laughing? Are people smiling? Are people, nodding off? Are people like checking their phones? Everybody probably checks their phones now, all the time, because it's kind of like what we always do. Hey, Riku, welcome. It's nice to see you. So
Mm-hmm.
Super Neon Blue says timing is super important when it comes to delivering a speech or presentation. It's like teaching someone. And you're absolutely right. There is an element of timing when you're speaking in public, when you're doing some kind of a presentation, because what you're trying to do is get a message across, but people have to be listening. People have to be engaged if you're going to get that message across. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can throw humor in there. You can throw all kinds of different stuff just to kind of bring an audience back to being with you. One of the things you can do, now I don't know if they still have these. There are Toastmasters clubs.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
That have been in
Mm-hmm.
every city, like all over the place. At least in the United States, they're
Yeah.
like practically in every single city that exists, and you can find a Toastmasters club near you. And the whole premise in a Toastmasters club is that you're going to train how to speak. How to do a speech, how to do a presentation, how to speak in front of
Mm-hmm.
people, and you're going to get more and more comfortable the more you do it. It is a huge fear for most people to do this, to
Mm-hmm.
stand in front of a group and give a talk. It may even be it's more of a fear for people than dying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. My mom happened to be one of those for most of her life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
August, you say you've done lots since university started, but gosh, time limits definitely make it worse. But it's like throwing a ball down a hill. So what do you mean by throwing a ball down a hill? Like you speed up as you go, so as you, I think you said that in
Mm.
the topic. So like midway, you start to get faster and faster and then all that kind of stuff. Kawhi says, don't read off a slide deck. I would agree with that. I think that's kind of boring. I always had trouble when I had PowerPoint type stuff or like slides to deal with or charts or whatever. I always did the best with like a blank whiteboard and a marker if I had anything that I wanted to write, that always worked best for me. If I could actively be writing, then I'm like physically into it, and I'm like da 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 writing stuff down. If I had to make any kind of visual aid or whatever, I can. If I had a slide with everything like up there for me, I'd have to have a laser pointer, I'm sure, so I could just like play with it, and I'd like point it at the thing and like whatever. But it's kind of okay. You say generally midway is the worst. That makes sense. You start off, and as you kind of get into things, maybe your general instinct of speaking fast kind of takes over. Um, Speaking fast is not necessarily a bad thing if it conveys some kind of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Because being excited about the topic that you're speaking about, being, interested in it will communicate itself to the people who are listening. It's part of being an engaging speaker. I've always hated
Hmm.
it when I go to a place and the person is just like monotone and they talk really, and then part B, blah 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 blah, and it's just really boring and really not even fun, and I want to just go to sleep, right? But if someone's got some energy and they're excited and they're passionate about what they're talking about, that's a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging, and there's a lot of things you can do. But what I'm going to do before I get into specifics, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. We've been doing this live stream for years now, and Ryan also got the chance to speak in front of groups while we were getting to know each other. It was a lot of fun. We all kind
Hmm.
of we'd practice doing it and stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So Ryan, take it away, my friend.
Sure, I'll do my best. I'll say this right off the bat. Um, when I was in college, I had to take a speech class, and I was uh, I don't know if I don't know if this is I don't know the right way to say this, but ultimately I was like the top performing student, if you will, in the
Hmm.
class. Um, and this is kind of basically what I did. I learned my strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so first of all, are you good at okay, for me, I'm gonna say this. When I have if I write out my speech, I will bomb it. Like I will do
Oh,
terrible.
me too.
Mm-hmm. But some people, if they write out their speech, they'll do better. So learn yourself, right? That's really important. If you can learn how well you do when you have it written versus not written, like for me, it's so much better if I'm just up there talking about the subject and capable of just going anywhere I want in it rather than having to stick to a script. If I've formulated different phrases that I want to say or different jokes that I want to say during it, I will throw those out there and they will fail. They'll be horrible. That's just the way that I operate. So kind of know which side of the fence on that you lie on. Um, but one of the things that made me I can't say a great speaker because I don't think that that's appropriate for me to say since it's in a classroom. But one of the things that made me um, a, quite acknowledged, at least by the teacher and the other students, saying you're really good at this, and wanting to emulate me in some ways or another, and the teacher quite often just going like, just really impressed, um, is essentially the first thing I have to do is become passionate about the topic I'm speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're passionate about a subject, you're going to talk about it so much better than if you're bored with the subject,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have this interior passion about the subject, and passion can be a lot of different things. And so, what I mean by passion is enjoy and be excited about the topics you're presenting. And you can draw yourself into those topics. If you have the ability to choose which topic you get to pick, then that's going to be even easier because you can choose to pick topics you're already passionate already passionate about sharing. But if you have to pick from something that the teacher picks and you don't know which one, you can find one and you can make yourself more in line with it and become more passionate about it. Especially if you go down a journey to learn it and you're excited about the things you learned and you get to share them with other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you are trying to, um, how do I say this? When you're trying to deliver a message, right? And this is obvious, you know this. When you're trying to deliver a message, you want to put pauses, you want to speak in rhythms,
Mm-hmm.
you want to present your message in a way that is enjoyable to the ears and the rhythms and so on, and the sort of processing speeds of other people, right? And that's why you're bringing this up. Um, One example I can give of someone who speaks with rhythms is Obama, right? Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
right? He speaks with specific cadences.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever someone mocks him, they'll mock his cadence, the way that he speaks. If you can train yourself to speak in a cadence, it will provide a backbone for your entire speech so that you continue to speak it at a specific rhythm and it doesn't ever get too fast for you or for other people. Does that make sense? So if you can find a rhythm or a cadence to speak in, like Barack Obama does, for example, you will help prevent yourself from, like you said, that ball just getting faster and faster as you go. So that's one thing you can do. I don't know necessarily how to train yourself other than to practice cadences. But if you can practice speaking in cadences, ones that you like listen to other people speak, try to copy their rhythms, their cadence, you can come to start to speak in your own cadence, and that will help. Another thing I would say right along the lines of that is listen to other speakers. The more you listen to other speakers, the more you become like them, at least in your speaking patterns. And so if you have particular speakers that you like the way that they speak, the rhythms, the speeds, so on and so forth, you can just play it and subconsciously soak up how they speak. Like, I have this problem, for example, if I listen to Jordan Peterson for too long, I will start using his words and his tones and his cadence, right? Because he has his own particular cadence he speaks in. And I will notice myself talking like Jordan Peterson. Or let's say I listen to another speaker like, well, I guess Ben Shapiro, right? He's an example of someone who speaks incredibly fast, right? And if I listen to Ben Shapiro too much, I'm just gonna be like speedrunner, and it's not going to get my message across, especially if it's something incredibly thick. Like, if I have to convey something that's very technical, I don't want to speed through it. I want to take my time going through it for my audience. And so there are ways you can do that. And I'm going to give you an example of something you can do that's really helpful for slowing yourself down and keeping the attention of other people when you're talking about something technical. Use this line. This is really cool. That's the line. That's the line. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Because you can go like 5 inches deep, let's say, into your technicalities, and you could be like, but hold on now, this is really cool because I didn't expect this when I was kind of going through this formula the first time, but this is really cool. You have to listen to this. So blah, 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 and you can continue your formula. When you enter into a dialogue as if you're excited about it, you're saying, this is really cool. It draws people back in and it slows yourself down. It allows people time to process everything you just said and then go, okay, I've gotten that part. Now what's next? And so you filled a little bit of space with, so this part's really cool. Check this out. You say those lines, suddenly people can kind of catch up with you and then pay really close attention to what you're about to say. And that's something that I think is really valuable and easy to incorporate because that's already kind of in your head. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're excited about the conclusion of something, just say that you're excited about the conclusion of this. Like, people like that interaction, and it helps slow yourself down because it gives you a moment to pause. Mm-hmm. And it reminds you, like, here's the big drop, pause. Here it is, right? Mm-hmm. Because we normally speak that way. Whenever we're like, guys, this just happened to me. Like, we put huge spaces. Like, the bigger the space, the more like awesome we think it is, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so putting that back into your speech, whenever you're having a speech, bring that back in. Bring back that mystery, that wonder, that explosion of thought, that thing you discovered that you thought was pretty cool, and put it in there. Kwai Sosu says, just don't overdo it. And I agree. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to fill your speech up with too much of that, but you want to include it from here, yeah, from time to time, and
Mhm.
that should help slow you down, especially when it comes to presenting technical parts that you're kind of trying to get through because sometimes you're assuming everybody in the class already knows it, but you have to say it anyways, or you're like, this part's boring to everybody, so I'm just going to try to speed through it. Try to remember that. Try to remind yourself that that's not the case. You don't need to. You don't want to consider what you're doing boring because that will ruin it for sure,
Mhm.
right? Say, okay, I can get behind that. The passion comes pretty easily, but but I've not thought of relying on cadences. Yeah, sure. Yeah, cadences are, I mean, I think, in my unprofessional opinion, especially in politics, um, Barack Obama won his election because of his cadences.
We just had tremendous
There were a lot of other
delivery. Like
things.
his messages, he has great delivery in speaking. Like it's
His delivery
incredible. Hmm.
is impeccable,
Yeah.
and it's all because of his cadence. He is such a great speaker. And I'm not saying that's the only reason he won. I'm not saying like he was an inadequate president. He's just a good speaker. I'm not gonna say any of that. I'm just saying because he was such a good speaker, because his speech had such a strong cadence and character to it, and he was easy to follow and understand because of it, that elevated him so far above a lot of his opponents. So speaking with cadences is really helpful. And yeah, I would recommend finding somebody whom you like the cadence of and emulating them. Um, and that's a good way to help solve the speeding problem. But anyways, that's what I've got for now. There's a lot to be said. I mean, and that's why they have Toastmasters. There's a lot to say
Hmm.
about speech and how to deliver well. But I'd say for me, one of the best rules is don't pay attention to the rules.
Right.
Pay attention to pay attention to your passion.
Hmm.
Because if you pay attention to the rules too much, you will throw yourself off and not be able to be passionate. But if you can just say, whatever rules, I'm going to be passionate up here, you will grab everybody's attention and you will deliver. And that's what you're trying to do. I know there's like, don't say ums and ahs and hums and whatever. And yeah, you do want to try to get away from those. But if you have a really passionate speech and it's filled with ums and ahs, people don't notice them.
Right. It doesn't matter so
People
much.
notice them when you're really slow and talking kind of boring. Then everybody knows your ums and ahs because they're filling space that's kind of boring already. So I would say don't pay too much attention to the rules and don't let them override your ability to give a good speech. That's my experience. But yep, as I said, I'm going to be done for now. I'm going to give it back over to Joe. Because Joe, honestly, is one of the persons that I learned the most from right off the bat because we were working together and we were learning together. And mostly I was watching you up there with your marker and giving presentations. And I was like, man, this guy's good, and I understand. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you. And all of what you have to say, like what you touched on there is so right and so valid. Cadences, all, the rhythm of how you do things, all that kind of stuff. And that passion, like all that
Mm.
plays into whatever it is that you're describing, whatever it is you're talking about. And it's going to make you a more engaging speaker that way, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
as far as speaking fast, one of the things, I mean, I can just tell you that practice really is going to be key. I can remember when I was starting to do presentations a lot, I would practice at home. I would
Mm.
practice. I would practice doing my presentations. I would practice in front of a mirror. I would video myself and then I would watch myself and I would analyze how I did and I would like pay attention to different mannerisms and different, things that I said and like,
Wow. That's awesome.
oh yeah, like I was trying to be good at it. you know? And I wanted to come across as an engaging speaker. And it's so funny. There are little mannerisms that come into play. Like if you go up in pitch with everything you say, which means you're
Oh no.
scared.
Oh no. Please stop it.
You know?
That's one thing that throws me off. I'll be listening to a YouTuber and I just like I have to pause it. I'm like, I can't. Now I can only hear that and it's the only thing I'm paying attention to anymore, and I cannot listen to the person and what they're talking about.
It's true.
Because all I hear is this about everything they say. Because I'm not sure. Or maybe I'm
Right?
really sure.
Or maybe I'm scared.
I know this for a fact. And I'm like, so that one really gets me for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you can try going down. It makes you sound
right.
more authoritative.
Sure.
Like you're more sure of
That
yourself.
crap. Nice August.
And I love the anxiety raises with the pitch. It kind of does. You're
Yeah.
kind of right, you know? It's weird, but not you will use it to some degree. Now, I kind of fluctuate around as I talk.
Yeah, I think that's
you
important.
you can hear my pitch kind of modulate as I'm talking, and I'm not trying to do this. It's just kind of second nature, and we do it when we're talking anyway. You know, when you're having a regular conversation. And the more and more you do this, the better you get. So if that was really the key to learning this and getting good was I did it a lot. I spoke in front of groups a lot, multiple times per week. I was standing in front of a group and I was giving some kind of a talk or presentation. And did that for years. Couple years, anyway. And so it kind of goes like that. And then it ports over into now we live stream, and I don't have... Now I can look at the chat and I can see different responses that come from you guys, but I don't have the same... I don't have eyeballs looking at me. I don't have people like responding with facial expressions. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't... Like when I tell a joke, I can't hear people laughing. You know, like all these different things kind of come into play. And part of it is gauging the response of your audience. Now, in a classroom setting, I can imagine this might be a little bit difficult when you're at school or at university or whatever, because, you know, you probably have a big portion of the student body that's just not very interested in being there anyway. So it doesn't matter. You're not like, you might not grab them. And I tell you what, I've flopped more times than I did good, I think. There were a lot of times.
You just remember them more.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But that's how you learn. That's how you learn to
get
good, right?
You flop and you get better. You know, you try and you fail and you get better. I mean, that's the key to success is failing. So I'm gonna be uber successful because I fail a lot, right? Like, so that's part of the deal. But Ryan said one thing that was super important, and that was talking about the pause. How important a pause can be. Right? Like as you're talking, you're going through something, and all of a sudden you just kind of and then you pause. The noise stops, right? And everybody kind of like, all of a sudden, everybody's kind of like, oh, did I miss something? Something's like, what's happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep pausing. What, just sit here and don't say anything?
Could you imagine? I love this. Just be up there and do random pauses, but it's because never really even think like twice about the... Right? Feel like anybody who's not looking is like, wait, did it just cut out? The audio cut out on me. Wait, no, this is live. What is going on?
That's great.
My reality is being destroyed right now.
Yep. And it might go over well, and it might go over like a flop. I guess it depends. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's crazy because depending on the group that you're speaking to, some things might go
Sure.
over really well, and some things might go over really poorly. It just kind of depends, right? And
Hmm.
but those are moments that kind of help you develop who you are as a speaker and as a presenter. So it's tough, especially if you have a propensity to speak fast. I know that
Hmm.
I do that, right? Like I have
And mean it myself as well. We're both from Michigan.
mhm,
We have that problem.
Michigan people speak fast. We do. We totally do. And you know, you just kind of deal with it and try to then extend out some of your words, throw in pauses for effect, throw in emphasis on different things, break up your sentences. There are all kinds of different things you can do that are going to add emphasis to things. And practice these things in a mirror or video yourself and watch it again and see, am I doing these things? Am I speaking fast? You know, all those little moments. Um, so I don't know, man. I think practice is the key. Being conscientious of what you're saying, being passionate about what you're saying, because then you're going to have feeling behind your words and you will automatically put different inflections in your talk.
Sure. Absolutely.
You'll put inflections in there, which will then lend itself to pauses. You will speak fast at some points in time because you're kind of building up to something, and you might talk a little bit faster then, and then when you get to a point, you like okay, and then sometimes then you can back off a little bit and bring it back down. And this all goes into what Ryan was talking about with cadences. There's a wave effect, right? There's ups and there's downs. It's like going up and down hills. We do this as we craft songs with intensity, with different instrumentations and different vocal lines and all that kind of stuff. You know, there's an up and a down, trend. There's like a wave of, more intensity, and then it drops off, and then it's less intense, and then more intense, and then less intense. And you can do the same thing in a talk, and I would encourage you to do so because it will simply make you more engaging, and you'll be able to get your point across a lot. People will be more engaged with you because if you're just one level the whole time, it's easy to tune out. But if it's changing from moment to moment,
Hmm.
then it's a lot more fun to tap into and engage with. So,
The last thing I'll say, right on that note, is don't be afraid to change, if you can, the order of your speech.
oh yeah,
Play with the ordering of the things you have to talk about,
mm-hmm.
because that can really help to create that wave sort of pattern. If it's just a constant up ramp, you'll lose people. But if you can reorder your speech to better engage people, and like what Joe said, you can record yourself and listen back and see how engaging you appear to yourself. Obviously, it's going to be different because you're yourself listening to yourself. It's not like you're listening to a speaker for the first time about a thing you don't know about. Obviously, it's going to be different, but still, try different approaches. Try different orderings of your speech, and try to, obviously everything else we've said so far, we've said a lot, but I
Mm-hmm.
think the main thing is your passion level, allowing pause for effect. I mean, one person I think about when I think about pauses now, he's a priest. His name is Father Mike Schmitz.
Oh yeah,
And he does this thing. Man, he's such a good speaker, because especially when he has something to say that is very important, or very deep or very painful, especially painful, if he has to talk about a really sensitive topic, okay? Like, let's say he has to talk about, for some reason, he has to talk about transgender, things, right? He will give great pause to emphasize the amount of sorrow or content or like intensity within the subject before he even begins talking about it. But it's like you can see something's going on in his head, right? And he's trying to find the words to speak about the difficulty of speaking about the thing, right? So you could look him up and you could see how he speaks, but he is a great example of pausing, especially for great effect.
Mm-hmm.
And watching your body language is important, and I don't want you to try to pay too much attention to your body language if you're not already incorporating your body language. But when I see speakers incorporate their body language in a speech, it makes a big difference. And again, the example I just gave with Father Mike Schmitz, before he's talking about something that's really maybe polarizing or controversial, right? He pauses, and you can see on his face there's this like sorrow and distress, and he's like, I just want everybody to know, like, okay, this is an important thing, and I don't want anybody to understand me wrongly, right? Like that body language, just in everything I said, it's like it's not just a play. It gives you emotion inside yourself just watching him, and you're like, you get what he's driving at before he even says it, right? And that's important. That's important because, um, again, it allows you to slow down and give great meaning and depth into something without having to spell everything out. Sometimes it's better just leave some things out, and that way it's less boring.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a script in a movie and you watch the movie and you're just like there's this disconnect because in the movie they're explaining the movie to you or something, or in the movie they're going off and explaining to another character everything that you just saw happen, and you're like, this movie's boring. Well, yeah, it's boring because that was some completely unnecessary to include. So sometimes some things are better left out, but again, I think it comes with, like Joe said, practicing. If you got a speech and you have time, practicing it and recognizing which parts are slowing me down, which parts am I
Or
speeding
which
up
parts
through
are speeding
because
you up, I
they aren't.
guess.
Yeah, which parts are speeding me up because they don't belong, or I find them boring. How can I find them less boring? How can I convey them in a way that's less boring? Or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's causing that to happen? So record yourself, find out what's causing that to happen, and just attack that. And I think that is probably your surefire way to success.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And you can do it. You can fix all these things. You can grow as a speaker and a presenter. And I don't know if it's going to matter much to you outside of university. I mean, if it's just to get through these classes, you may not necessarily need to put a whole lot of focus on it. But I will say this, being a good communicator in front of a group of people translates well into being a good communicator person to person as well.
It's true. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's, I think I don't really care what profession you end up in. Being a good communicator is a good skill.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a good skill because then whether it's person to person or whether you're in front of a group or whatever it is, the more comfortable you can be in your own skin, being genuinely yourself and getting your information across, that's the key. And I remember reading in a book a long time ago, it's not necessarily important the content you deliver. What's important is the content they receive.
That's well said.
So it's not necessarily about you covering all the points and necessarily about covering all of the little nitty-gritty details and everything like that. What's most important is what they receive from your communication. People get the wrong idea all the time. I say stuff and I mean one thing, and then somebody hears me and they hear something else, and then blah, blah, and then it turns. Sometimes it turns into a big dramatic thing, and sometimes people, you're never going to escape that fully. But the better you can be at delivering your ideas so they're understood and received properly, that's all going to go into this, bit that you're learning how to do through making presentations, through delivering speeches, doing all these different things. It all plays into that. So, but hey, you just do it, and you get and you pay attention to how you're doing it. And I listen to myself. Like after Don't Worry Wednesdays, I'll listen to a few different segments of myself just to see if I'm on track, or if there's things I need to change, or if there's things that I'm doing too much of or too little of, or whatever, just to kind of analyze my delivery. So then as we do more and more of these, because we're planning on doing this show indefinitely.
Yeah.
We're not planning on stopping. And so like the point for me in all of this is like, how can I get better? How can I be a better presenter on our Don't Worry Wednesday show? And that translates also into our staff meetings and everything, as when we're talking about stuff, it all kind of fits together, right? But one of the keys in all of that, and there's another thing I read about, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should use them in that proportion.
Sure.
So you should listen twice as much as you speak. Now, obviously, when you're doing a presentation in front of a group of people, you're speaking and you can't really pay much attention, right? You can't really listen. But what's important is that you maybe aren't listening to words that they're saying, but you can watch their body language. You can see their responses. You can see what's happening and pay attention to the communication coming back at you from the people that you're presenting to. The more you can do at keeping the receiving person of your message in mind and paying attention to their responses, paying attention to how they're communicating back to you, the better you're going to be, the more in tune with them you're going to be, the better you are going to be at getting your point across and communicating your ideas. Because that's really, what's the point of communication anyway? I mean, sometimes we need to vent. And in those cases, it's all about what I'm saying. Like if I need to vent something, it's not necessarily about the receiving person. It's about me getting my words out because I'm venting. Right? But for the most part, when I'm communicating, when I'm saying stuff, it's important how that message is received. It's important that the person who is getting the message is getting the right message with all the little aspects of communication, making sure that they know that I don't hate them, that I don't, that I still love them, that I want to, I like being their friend, whatever, right? But maybe there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, whatever. All these things come into play. And in communicating with another person, to be willing to pay attention to the audience or to the person that you're communicating with, that's going to take you so far. That's going to help you with all these adjustments. And the very fact that you raised this as a topic means that you're paying attention already.
Yeah.
So you're already 25 steps ahead of a lot of people because you're already paying attention to yourself. You're already noticing, okay, I need to do this better. How can I get better at this? You're asking questions. These are all good signs that over time, as you work at this and as you do it more and more, you're going to get better and better and better. And you're going to be just fine. But I know people, that kind of come up with their own languages, and then it doesn't matter to them whether they're understood or not. It's almost like, if somebody, I remember
That's
people,
true.
I go to drive-through or whatever with somebody, and they'd always complain about their order being wrong, but they have their own language for stuff, and they say things their own way, and they're like, if people can't understand me, that's their fault. It's like, no, it's not their fault. Like, your order is wrong all the time because you're not paying attention to how your message is received. You're just worried about saying it your way. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the point of, if I'm going to open my mouth and say something, what's the point? It's that we understand each other. And speed, tempo, all these kinds of different things play into that. So it's great that you're asking these questions, August. I applaud you. I don't know. We could go on and on. This is a great topic, and one that I've studied a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've studied speaking. I've studied different speakers. I've tried to emulate different people. I've adopted different practices from certain people. Body language, throw a few hip thrusts in there and some butt shakes and stuff. Like, I'm totally not being serious. I guess it depends on the context.
Yeah.
But you can talk with your hands. You can do things with your hands a lot. And I'll do that from time to time, where you do things with your hands. Those are all little aspects of everything. But anyway.
Pretend you're Italian. Yeah, that's right.
Eat.
That's right.
Eat the squeeze cheese on the sushi.
That's it. Because there's nothing more in Italian than squeeze cheese on sushi.
That's right.
Every Italian knows that.
Is it Italian or Italian? I always say Italian.
It is Italian.
You just always say Italian? Is that
Italian?
Is that a Northern Michigan thing?
It is it's an American thing to say Italian, but it's actually Italy or Italy. Italy?
Italy.
Is it Italy?
Italy.
Yeah,
Man,
so it's Italian.
I don't say
Yeah.
Italy.
Well,
unless I'm idly going nowhere.
You do say idly if you were to use that word, but that's not the same word.
It's a different word, right? It's Italy, so it's Italian.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Italian.
Italia.
But the point is, however we say it, we get the point across and we communicate, right?
That's right.
Some
That's
say
right.
tomato, some say tomato, right? So.
Yeah, but no one says potato, which is weird.
Some people do.
Well, yeah, but there's no dialect where they actually specifically say potato.
Yeah. I remember one time on I think it was Saturday Night Live years and years ago, there was an actor and he was reading off of the cue cards and he was like, I'm going to do this song and I'm going to be reading it off of the cue cards because I'd never knew this song before. And he gets up there and he's like, you say potato, I say potato. You say tomato, I say tomato.
That's right. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Yeah. Completely different meaning. Yeah. I remember that. That was pretty good.
It was funny.
Pretty good.
But
Italian, yeah, that's a silly.
It's Italian in German, and then Italianish. Wait, I'm confused, Riku.
I don't know at all.
Wait, and Saule says Italian is American discriminatory? Oh, okay. Italian is Italy. That's the country. Okay. Gotcha.
And then the other one's the spoken language.
Italianish. I mean, I know some guys who are Italian-ish. They might be like 2%.
Hmm. Yeah.
So they're a little Italian-ish.
I've said many times, and even recently, like yesterday, there's a part of me that wishes I was some percent Italian. Because, man, Italians have it. Like, they've got great food, they've got great culture, they've got,
They've got
like,
passion.
the Catholics, they've got passion, they've got the mafia. Like,
They got
Italians,
the
man. Hey, yeah, well, I've got my connections. I've got my connections. Both sides of my family, by the way, were involved in the mafia in some small way.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Are you going to come after me?
Mm-hmm. No,
You're going to break my knees?
because we're not actually Italian.
Oh.
No one in my family is Italian.
Oh.
Yeah.
So knee breaking
bummer.
is out. You don't get to break my knees.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow,
Aw,
so
man.
you're
Sicilian.
50% Italian, and half of that is Sicilian. So half of your Italian is
That's cool.
Sicilian, which
Mm,
isn't Sicily and Italy?
I think so.
Like that's not two different things. That's like
Right.
so.
I think
So
that's
the
what they're
half.
saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Okay. So the half of the half of your Italian is from Sicily.
That's amazing that you could break that down. That's cool.
Yeah.
I know this is a little bit off topic, but why don't we go on to another topic?
Yeah. All right. Good idea. Cool. Well, thank you,
Okay.
August. Thank you for the topic. Hopefully
Yeah,
some of
thank you
that
so
was
much.
helpful for you. And, feel free to reach out on Discord. You've got my Discord. You've got Ryan's
Mhm.
Discord. You can reach out to us if you have any
Mhm.
specific questions or whatever. Or if you want to, if you're running into any troubles or anything, feel free. Submit another topic.
Mhm.
Let us know. Let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
Be happy to help in any way and actually just hear updates. Actually, I'm always interested to
Yeah,
hear
absolutely.
as you grow in certain areas. I'm always interested to hear about progress. So absolutely. So thank you, August. You are awesome. You say thank you all. I will pause more, use cadences, and more. I'm sure I can report on my progress here. Absolutely. Please do. Be happy to hear about it.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for the topic. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
So we will go to our next topic here. Let's see what this is. This is from Strawberry Paste.
Strawberry paste.
Oh, wait. Saule says Sicily is all of Europe and the Mediterranean, but mostly Italian. Everyone owned Sicily at some point.
Oh, I see.
I owned Sicily at one point. In fact, I own it now.
Well, dang. Don't tell Sicily.
It's my
Don't tell
place.
Italy, rather.
Hey, Alfonso.
Alfonso, hey.
Welcome. Mamma mia. All right.
Yeah, and they have Mario. Jeez.
Oh, Mario.
It's actually Japan who has Mario, so.
I control the squeeze cheese industry in Italia. Yeah.
Italia. Yeah. Italia.
Italia. I control the squeeze cheese. I control the squeeze cheese that I own.
True you do.
And it's so good.
That you do.
All the different flavors are so good. I wish they still had bacon, cheddar flavor, but they don't. A little chapped about that.
Yeah. Wow. It was voted out
It was.
because no one liked it.
I'm bummed.
Apparently.
I did. I don't know who
You
this,
never tried it.
I don't know who this no one person is, but I liked it.
You didn't try it. Did you have it? I thought you didn't have it.
I tried it.
Oh, you did. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and it
okay.
was awesome.
Okay.
They had it for
okay.
a while, and then they got rid of it because apparently nobody
okay.
liked it. Like they talked to a focus group of nincompoops or something.
Well, whoever nobody is, they liked it. So
I guess maybe I'm nobody.
yeah, maybe you're nobody.
Maybe that's the case. Hey,
That might be true.
whatever. Then I'm nobody.
well.
I liked it. It was good. All right. Excuse me. So our next topic comes from Strawberry Paste, and it is called Role Model Reconnection. And I will put this topic up on the screen so I can read it aloud. You guys can read along with me. Again, this is called Role Model Reconnection from Strawberry Paste. And it goes like this. I want to reach out to a person that I used to look up to. We were in the same group a while ago, but they left the group before me. I was not close to them, but they were cool. I think they left the group after an argument with someone else. I kind of want to reach out and see how they're doing, but I'm afraid to. I don't want to come off the wrong way, and I'm bad at making friends, even with acquaintances that I have known for a while. I'm worse at making friends with people that I look up to. I think that I probably become clingy and insecure. Do you have any advice on how to reconnect with someone that I was only loosely acquainted with? Because of the situation in which they left, I don't know if they want to hear from anyone from that old group, but I think it would be cool to reconnect. From Strawberry Paste. And Strawberry Paste, thank you so much for the topic. And hopefully what we had to say is going to be helpful. Connecting with anybody can be a scary task. You know, reconnecting with somebody can be scary. Connecting in general, I am not good at making the first move most of the time when I'm connecting with someone. Like, I might see somebody and might get to, just say hi back and forth with somebody for a while in a certain place or whatever. But then connecting, reaching out, I have a really hard time with that. And I try to get better at it because every once in a while, there's this thought. I can't remember if I read it or I heard it from a speaker at some point, but it's basically the sentiment like, most people out there would like to have a good conversation and a friend. Most people would enjoy having a good friend. And if you're a good person that can be a good friend, they'd enjoy to have you as a good friend. But most people, they're kind of like me, where it's like, I don't want to make that first move. I'm kind of scared, kind of nervous. I think I'm going to come across as weird, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And it's true that, it might be weird. And the more nervous we feel about it, the more weird it is. Because we feel weird in our body language and everything kind of comes across that way, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So part of it is just doing it to the point where it kind of becomes comfortable and second nature. But I think Strawberry Paste, it sounds to me like you, I don't know if this was an IRL group or an online group. If you have contact information for them, it can be really, really simple to just shoot a message across, if it was like, if they're on Discord or if you have a way to message them or whatever, sometimes you just say, hey, I was just thinking about you. I haven't, I remember you from way back when, whatever, just thinking about you. And just was wondering how you're doing. And you can just leave it at that.
I would say almost the exact same thing except for add the part where you say you looked up to them or just say you thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
And you thought it'd be nice to reconnect. Yeah.
It feels weird when you're on this side, when you're on the side of putting it out there. Right? But think to yourself, if you think in terms like, I've had this happen before where people have reached out to me, and whether it's through Facebook Messenger, which I'm never, ever, 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 hardly ever on Facebook, right? But so I'll get on there once every like 6 months or something and just look, and I'll have like all these messages. And
that often? Wow.
I know, right?
I'm on there like once every 6 years.
Hey, cool. But I will say this, it never feels weird from the receiving end for somebody to reach out and say, hey, I was just thinking about you, just wondering how you're doing, how you been? In fact, it feels kind of good for somebody to reach out and say, hey, I was thinking about you, how you been? That's kind of nice to get those messages. And there are people that I would like to have them reconnect with me like that, and then they never do. Right? But I'm also too scared to reconnect with them. But I'll tell you what, there have been moments when I've reconnected with people, whether it was by phone or by email or whatever, and it has turned into a wonderful friendship. Or I just had a little bit of guts in that moment to just reach out and say, like, something real simple. Hey, I was just thinking about you. How you been? And then a conversation starts. And then we go from there, right? And it just depends. Like, Super Neon Blue says, the more you put it off or think about it, the more expectations you accrue and the more let down you will be if they don't respond. No expectations and just going for it is a good way to approach this. I agree 150,000%. Because that's absolutely true. No expectations. Don't expect anything in response.
Hey, Baka.
Baka, what's going on, buddy? It's good to see you, man. Yeah, no, because they might not respond. They might be busy. Maybe they've got like 6 kids and they're crawling all over them or something. Maybe they went to Easter Vigil Mass and there was some lady breastfeeding in front of them and they're traumatized for a year or whatever. You know, like
a whole year. Wow, it's not that big of a deal.
I know.
Okay. Anyways,
I don't know. That was awfully specific. Like
that was very specific. Weird.
Now I'm all like distracted. Okay. Anyway, you never know where somebody's life might be, right? And so maybe they won't answer. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Who knows? But to just know that, hey, you reached out, that's a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing. And it sounds to me like, you know, you didn't have an argument with them. They didn't have an argument with you. Everything was fine between you two. You know, you guys were cool, even though, you know, you didn't talk a whole lot or whatever. If anything, their thought of you, that first of all, they're probably not thinking much about you because they've got their own life to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you pop up into their life, it will just be a welcome surprise. Like, oh, I remember this person. Hey, you know, that's how I respond a lot of times when someone reaches out to me. If I didn't know them all that well, but we didn't have any argument or whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, hey, how's it going? You know, it's just kind of, I'm honored that somebody would think of me.
Mm-hmm.
And they would feel the same way. I'm quite sure that it would be the same way. Now, like I said, if they're busy, maybe they don't have the time to respond. Maybe they got a life that's, you know, pulling them in all kinds of different directions. You never know what someone's life situation might be. So no expectations, like Neon Blue said. August says, just as Neon and Joe said, the longer you wait, the more expectations and the anxiety will grow. Reach out now because now's a good time to share time together. I like that.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because the more you sit and think about it, you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll think about all the things that could go wrong. You'll think about all the whatever. You know, you'll ask all kinds of questions of yourself, and you'll start to feel awkward and weird. And so if you just do it, then it's done. And who knows what happens? Maybe nothing happens, or maybe something happens. Maybe you have a great friendship. But anyway, I've already talked for a while. I'm going to give it over to Ryan because he's probably one of the best at being a friend of people that I've ever known in my entire life.
That's you, Joe.
No, it's not.
That's you.
You're normally a very holy guy, but right now you're totally lying.
You want to fight about this right now?
I do.
Let me go
I
get my gloves so I can take them off.
I will punch you
Oh,
from
ow, okay,
from
never
all the way
mind.
from halfway around the world.
If you're gonna punch me, I'm not. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Well, you were
I
talking
don't
about
want to get
getting
punched.
gloves. Oh, were you gonna like
I
take a
was just
glove
gonna
and
take my gloves
smack
off. I
me
didn't
with a glove?
say.
Oh, I thought.
Whoa.
I was like, you said I'm gonna
Yeah.
take my glove
See.
off, and you're gonna like take your like leather racing glove
Yeah.
off and just you
Yeah.
know.
That was not what I was implying, but I was like, I'm gonna take my gloves off and get ready for a fight, but I'm not gonna actually fight. Jeez, wow.
Oh, okay,
Fight,
gotcha.
fight.
But then, but you don't want to have the punching, but you were like talking about anyway.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm not willing to go all the way on this. I'm backing down right now before I get hurt.
Gotcha.
Because you could beat me up, man. I'm not.
Probably not.
I ain't no black belt.
True. Okay.
It's not even just that. There's so much. You have so many more muscles than I do. I mean, you have the same muscle groups,
I do
but
have the same
your muscle
muscles.
groups are much bigger in every
That's
area.
possible. That's possible.
That's important.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, my nose might be stronger, but that doesn't come into.
Then that means I win. So
Yeah.
so you're lying.
Yeah. Anyways, what? No, you want to being a good friend, man. I don't know.
Ryan's
Anyways.
a better friend. We're gonna fight about it. Ryan is a better friend. So
Oh, and if you
what
beat me
he
up, then you've proven it. I get it.
exactly.
Okay.
I win.
That's hilarious. I win. I win. You're the better friend. Well, what now, punk? Yeah. I guess you're right.
Uh-huh.
That's funny.
All right.
All right. Well,
Take it away, Ryan.
so strawberry paste. This is a good topic. I mean, there's so much that could be said, at least psychologically, what's going on. So if you don't mind driving into that lane a little bit, again, not a professional psychologist or therapist or anything like that, but what are you afraid of, right? That's kind of where you're at. You said you're afraid. You said, I kind of want to reach out and see how they're doing, but I'm afraid to. You say that your fear is that you don't want to come off the wrong way, but ultimately your actual fear, because coming off the wrong way isn't your fear. It's that coming off the wrong way leads to something, and that something is what you're afraid of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it you're afraid of? Making a bad impression where you don't get to be their friend. I'm guessing, right? I can't say that's the fear, but that's a guess. That's my first guess, and it could be something else. So I asked you, what are you afraid of? What's the thing that you're afraid of? If it's something like what I just said, well, that's interesting because you're afraid that you're going to ruin it for yourself and not be able to be their friend because you're putting so much importance on this person and your friendship with them and the potential of that friendship that you are afraid you're going to ruin it. And if you ruin it, you've lost something really important to you. Right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's understandable. But there's a couple of things to recognize. Obviously, if you don't make a move, you don't have a friend there in the first place. So you are already there. So that's not. But you haven't at least you haven't lost something, right? You haven't lost a friend, or you haven't lost a potential friend. And as long as you don't act, they remain a potential friend, but they never actually become a friend, right? So that's kind of where you're at, right? Maybe. I'm just guessing here, right? But that might be where you're at. So, I mean, obviously, Super Neon Blue, and August and Joe have all stated, don't have any expectations. I'm going to kind of expound upon that a little bit here, if I can. If your emotional stability, if your hopes and dreams in life, so on and so forth, are reliant upon this person accepting you and not rejecting you, you are going to come across way too clingy. Way too clingy and insecure, which is what your fear is, right? What you're saying is that you want them so bad. You want to have them as your friend so bad that it affects you, not just not even just emotionally, but it affects you physically, right? That's putting a lot of dependency on them, but you know what it's also doing? It's putting a lot of responsibility on them that they don't deserve to be responsible for, because they're not responsible for you. You are, right? And you know that. You know this. But if this is the case, if this is why you're afraid, and I'm not putting this on you. I'm just giving you something out of my own life, if you will, my own experiences. If this is why you become clingy and insecure, then I would say one of the best things you can do is go into this, like other people said, without expectations, right? Without that need for them to say, I accept you as a friend. Don't be afraid of rejection. And I know that's a hard thing, right? Because rejection is super big. Being rejected can feel horrible, right? I get it. But if you're afraid of rejection, how do I put this? If you're afraid of rejection, you can't be yourself. And whoever ends up your friend is not a friend of you as you are. They're a friend of who you are portraying to be, which is your idea of what their friend should look like. Because you're not allowed or free to be yourself if your fear is turning you into someone that will suit like their needs because you're afraid of them rejecting you. Right? That's not a good place to be. That is not a good place to be. And I know that from experience. Joe knows that from experience. I think a lot of us know that from experience. If you're so afraid of rejection that even before you even start a relationship, that's on your mind, that is going to shape how you interact with people, because your fear is what's going to determine how you act to other people. Like, I mean, here's an example. This is an easy example I can give. Let's say you're not okay with someone and the fact that they are smoking cigarettes. Okay? But you're afraid of them rejecting you. So you go along with them smoking cigarettes. Let's say you do that for long enough. At some point, out of fear of rejection, you might even end up smoking some cigarettes to fit in, right? It can go down that line. It can go down that road. And it might not be cigarettes. It might be other moral things. Like you disagreed with this at first, and then out of fear of rejection, you slowly over time became a person who's allowing things to happen in front of your face without contesting them, and then ultimately getting into a position where you are doing them yourself in order to, quote, fit in. But fit in is really just doing something out of fear of rejection. So you aren't free to be who you actually are. You aren't free to be the fullest version of yourself. You're not free to be the best version of yourself. You're not free to turn people away or turn people down because of how they're treating others or treating you. You can get into a lot of toxic relationships if you are afraid of rejection. Because you are not because you're too afraid to stand up for yourself, because you're too afraid to be rejected. Because of course, if you stand up for yourself, you're going to be rejected because you're opposing them. Right? You're like obvious. So of course I won't oppose them. But what you don't realize is that if you oppose them on something, sometimes you will make a deeper friend than you would have ever believed.
It's true.
I've seen it happen several times in my life and other people's lives. Sometimes it takes standing up to someone and being like, look, you can't do that. That's not cool. All of a sudden, boom, they're like respecting you and they look up to you and they're agreeing with you on that matter and they're happy that you're a good friend. And so I don't know if this is where you're at, but if it is, I want to talk about it because I want you to be able to be you. Strawberry Paste, you've posted a lot of topics for us. We know you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're an awesome person.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of care and concern for others and how other people are feeling. And you want to help people. And I think that's lovely. But if you stress too much that everyone can accept you, accept who you are, you aren't free to be who you are, which is you that we like, that we love, the best you. So I would say go into this not with a mindset of like, well, I don't care what they think, blah blah blah. Like that's not my point. It is important what other people think, and it is important what other people think of you, but don't let the fear of rejection rule your life and rule your relationships. Don't let the fear of rejection stop you from making new friends. And don't let this fear of rejection stop you from being the better person in your relationships. That like you could be maybe potentially better in your current relationships if you weren't afraid of being rejected because you stand out or because you're stirring the pot or whatever. So that's just a thought on that. Again, I don't know that's where you're at. I could be totally off base here. That might not be the thing that you're afraid of. But whatever it is that you're afraid of, confront that. Confront that thing and win. Because that thing that's preventing you from having a good relationship with this person that is potential friend and is also causing you said, I think that I probably become clingy and insecure. So whatever that fear is, it's maybe making you that way. And so whatever that fear is, I'd say go confront it and win. Because that's not just gonna affect you. That's gonna affect everybody around you. When I became free to be myself because I learned a little bit of self-esteem and I became okay with rejection and knew that it wasn't the end of the world and just like, it's okay. Suddenly everything for me changed in my relationships with everybody around me. And they all got better. They all pretty much got better. And the ones that were toxic went away. And that was a blessing because I didn't need those relationships, right? And so it was okay that they disappeared on me, right? So that's where I'm going to stand. So I'm going to end here. Whatever that fear is, whatever is the root of making you afraid. You said, again, I kind of want to reach out and see how they're doing, which is a lovely thing. That in itself is perfect. And you said, but I'm afraid to. What is the root of that fear? What is that fear? What's the deepest part of that fear? Go find that. Confront it. Face it. And win. And you know what? Sometimes winning takes action. And that action can literally be reaching out to this person. And that could be your first victory. Which is an awesome start and an awesome place to start. So I encourage you, go for it. You're awesome, Strawberry. I'm gonna give it back over to Joe.
Well, thank you. And thank you for,
who's also a really good friend and a great example of all of these things I just said.
Stop. Liar.
No lies, Brad. I'm not even lying down right now.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Go you. Um, yeah, I love what you were saying, Ryan. It can be tough, and as you work toward doing this, oh, jeez, I had a train of thought and I lost it because Ryan was lying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go lay down for you.
um, no, strawberry paste. Everything that Ryan has said is so true. You, as you, are awesome. You, in and of yourself, just being yourself is awesome. And whatever happens with this friendship, whether it goes good or goes bad when you reach out to him, or even if you decide to not reach out to him, it doesn't change your value. It doesn't change how good it is that you exist.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It can be scary. These things are uncomfortable. And we fear these things, but sometimes we have to flip the feeling of fear on its head and understand that fear and excitement feel the same. We just assign them to different, things. So that same feeling that, like, when we're really excited about something and it's something that we perceive as good, we assign it as excitement, and that feeling is excitement and it feels good to us, right? But that same feeling, when it's something that's we determine in our brain that is bad, that feeling we assign as a bad feeling, and it's fear. But it's really about, they're really, really the same feeling. Well, maybe they're not exactly the same, but they're super duper close. A lot of the same chemical processes are happening. Like you get that adrenaline rush, you get this all these different things happen in us chemically that feel very, very similar, if not the same. So when we feel afraid to do something, I can remember when I would feel afraid to make contacts for whatever it was that I was doing. If I was expanding business, if I was doing whatever, and I had to make phone calls or I had to do whatever, right? I would feel that fear, and I would be like, okay, wait, this is just excitement. And I'd just flip it in my head. I'd tell myself, I'm just excited to do this. Rather than being afraid of it, I'd feel that feeling and I'd be like, oh, that's excitement. Those butterflies in my stomach, that's excitement. Same thing with like stage fright. If I was going to be going up on stage, to play a show or whatever, and I'd feel that fear, I'd feel those butterflies, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it, stage fright. I could flip it over in my head and be like, oh, I'm just excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to use this energy to do it, right? This energy that's coming through me, I'm gonna feel it. I'm gonna channel it. I'm gonna do something with it, and it's gonna be great, right? So these are some things that you can do in your head as you're feeling afraid to do something. A lot of times, it's because it's uncomfortable, but here's the thing: the longer we stay in a comfort zone, the more cowardly we become, the more we shrink, the more we don't expand, the more backwards we go. Because in life, it seems like to me, we're either going forward or we're going backward. We're never, ever standing still.
True.
Right? You can take it in any context. When it comes to playing the drums, I have many, many years of playing drums under my belt. But if I'm not consistently playing, I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
Now, there are baseline skills that I probably will never lose in drumming that I've just developed over the years, and some things are kind of like riding a bike, right? But if I'm losing my edge, I'm going backwards, and there are things that I used to be able to do that I can no longer do because I haven't done it in a while, right? But if I continue to move forward and continue to practice and continue to play, I'll continue to get better, and I'll continue to have a sharper edge on my drumming, and I'll be able to do better, right? Same with any instrument, same with any skill, same with anything that we do in life, right? Fitness. I've been reconvinced of this over and over and over again because I've gone forwards and backwards in fitness multiple times in my life, where I've gained weight and I've gotten out of shape and whatever and blah 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 blah, and I get soft, and then I'm not, and then I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'd go up a flight of stairs and it's hard, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Or I get out of my car and I'm just like, and I have to like rock a few times to get out of my car or whatever, And I remember getting to that point, and I'm like, I'm having trouble getting out of my car, and I had to go up a flight of stairs, and I was winded, and I'm like, something has to change here. I have to get into shape, And so then I started getting into shape, and in a matter of a year or two, I was in pretty doggone good shape because I consistently did this, right? But I was scared to start. I didn't know what to do. I just got online. I looked up some stuff, and I figured out, okay, this is where I'm going to do some things. Da, 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 da. Fitness is a ladder with rotating rungs. It can feel that way for sure, Baka. It sure can feel that way, but because it feels like you're going, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're making any progress, but you are. And a lot of these things have to do with I know they talked about fitness last week. They talked about the importance of what you eat and what you do, together in combination. They're both important. You're not going to outwork a bad diet, and you're not going to out diet zero physical activity. It's just not going to happen. Now, you might lose a lot of weight if you have your diet in order, but you're still not going to be in very good shape. You'll be soft. You might get really, 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 thin and, just not have much ability to do much. You might not have much stamina or endurance or strength to do much, right? So, like, it takes a combination of both. And you can learn all kinds of stuff about how it works and what kinds of things work best for you. And, when it comes to fitness, I always have to use the disclaimer, talk to any physician before starting any kind of diet program or blah, 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 blah. Please talk to a physician. Don't listen to any advice we have to say. What we have to say is for entertainment purposes only and is probably wrong. So please go to a doctor and listen to what they have to say. There. Now we've covered ourselves legally. But anyway, the thing about it is, strawberry paste, why did I talk about all this stuff that seems to be unrelated to this specific issue? The reason is because it's all about comfort level. When you allow yourself to sink into your comfort zone, into what's comfortable, and you don't and you don't push yourself to the edge of that comfort zone and even beyond the limits of that comfort zone, what happens is that comfort zone gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and it becomes uncomfortable. But because it's familiar to you, you fake yourself out and you think it's comfortable.
That's a really good point.
So the more we shrink back, our comfort zone gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it becomes a prison. So if you do something that's uncomfortable for you, what happens is you don't, it's not like this magic thing, like all of a sudden I can do whatever I want because of blah, blah, blah. No, it's a progressive thing. You will expand your comfort zone incrementally over time by pushing its boundaries a little bit at a time. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to like go all out and go nuts. But just a little bit outside or a little bit further than you went the day before, or just a little bit. And it can make your comfort zone grow. And before you know it, the thing that scared you to death, it's just like no big deal. And it's like I do this all the time. It was like we talked in the last topic, we talked about public speaking, right? I was scared to death to speak in front of people. And I was bad at it too when I started. I was nervous. I was sweating. I had baloney armpits, like terrible. And it was like, man, it was awful. I was so scared, and I hated it. But I started doing it, and then before I knew it, like, I don't know, I did it consistently enough to the point where it was like, now it's no big deal. I just hey. I remember a guy talking, I was scared, and I was bad, and I was terrible. It was, like, awful. But now it's like, hey, wake me up in the middle of the night, give me a microphone, I'll talk for an hour. It's no big deal, right? Just because that's how it works. So if you do this, if you don't do it, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal if you don't reach out to them. It's not a big deal. I go back and forth with myself all the time within my comfort zone. I am not perfect in this degree at all. I shrink back into my comfort zone all the time.
Oh yeah, all of us do, I think.
And that's okay. But once I notice that it's a comfort zone that I need to push to the limit, because we do it unconsciously, we don't even think about it, right? But then after a while, I might notice it. And then I'm like, oh, this is just a comfort zone. And it's not even all that comfortable. It's just familiar. It's just what I know. It's easier for me to not reach out. It's easier for me to not make the call or to not send the message or whatever. It's easier, right? But it's not life or death or whatever. But interestingly enough, if I can somehow get myself to just do it, what I find out is it wasn't that big a deal. It's not that big a deal to reach out to somebody and say, hey, how's it going? I haven't thought of you in a while. Or I was just thinking of you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Just wondering how you're doing. It's not that big a deal. But what happens inside you as a result, because you were afraid to do this and you did it anyway, the result in you is a huge deal. The event itself, it's not that big a deal. And the person who receives the message, they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, it's not going to be weird to them. It's not going to come across as awful. It's not going to be this big groundbreaking thing. It's just like, hey, somebody reached out to me. That feels kind of good. It feels good to be thought about and to be considered and to have somebody reach out to me. That feels good. So you'll be giving them a gift by doing this. Whether they respond or not, I can just about guarantee you, in that moment that they see the message, it'll make them feel good about themselves. Because, hey, I was important enough to this person that they thought of me to message me.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be giving them a gift by doing it. So I want to take the fear of how they might respond off the table. And go back and listen to what Ryan talked about rejection, because that's a huge deal too. The more we fear being rejected by somebody, the more we become inauthentic. The more we allow toxic behaviors, the more all that stuff. And we can end up in a world of hurt because of that fear. But I don't think you have to fear rejection in this case. I don't think at all. But the very fact that you're afraid of it, if you push through and you do it, even though you're afraid, you can celebrate that, because what you just did is you made your comfort zone circle bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You
and I find the more we do that, the more alive we become.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Times.
You're absolutely right. The more we do the things we're afraid of, and the more we bring those things that are fearful of us into our realm of what normal life is like, that's growth, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's growth. And we feel good about ourselves. We feel better about our lives. We feel better about all that stuff that's going on. It's great. So take those steps. Push your comfort zone. Push the limits of your comfort zone. Do those new things. And it can be the weirdest thing. I will even give a gaming example of this. I will never forget, ever, the very first time I played Fortnite with my kids. We clicked the ready up button. I had my noob skin, you know, the skin, the default skin that changes with every match, right? They're on the same clothes, but they're different people. And I was like, okay, we're going to play. Hit the ready up button, matchmaking in progress. And there was all this little, oh man, I was nervous, right? And then we're on the bus. Or no, then we're in the lobby and the thing. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. This is something's weird, you know, where I'm in this with all these people. I can run around and punch people and hit them with my pickaxe and whatever. But apparently it doesn't matter. Like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden we're on the bus. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then you drop out of the bus. And I can tell you, when I was falling out of that bus in the game, I was scared. Because I didn't know what to expect in this game. But it was scary. I was nervous. It was really uncomfortable. And it's just a video game. But I dropped out of the bus and I'm like free falling. And I'm like, what happens next? Am I going to crash? Am I going to die? You know, like, what's happening? Like,
that's the game.
Like, do I have to do something weird or what? You know, like, and then you know, like, your glider just appears at some point, right? And then, you know, then you land. And then all of a sudden you're there. But I've played so many matches of Fortnite now with my kids. Now it doesn't even matter. It's comfortable to me now. But that's how all things are that are new. That's how all things are that are a little bit unfamiliar. Everything's like that. But the more you're willing to do that, and if you can flip that feeling of fear and understand that it's the same as feeling excitement, and then embody that, incorporate that into your thought process and be like, oh, I'm just excited to do this. I'm just excited. I'm not afraid of this. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Then the more likely you are to just push through anyway, and you're going to have fun. It's going to be great. You know, you can have a lot more fun doing it, and you will grow, and a lot more things will be comfortable, and you'll be amazed at the kinds of things you'll be able to accomplish when you have that type of forward-looking motion in any area of your life. It starts to find its way into other areas of your life, career, profession, you know, relationships, all these kinds of different things. The more you can do that, the more you will grow in all areas. And you become a stronger version of yourself. It's great. So anyway, strawberry paste. Just do it. It'll be okay. I promise. It's not that big a deal. But the ramifications of you expanding your comfort zone are a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big deal to you. So anyway, Ryan, did you have anything else to say about this?
No, I think that's perfect. I relate so much to that. You know, just getting outside your comfort zone, and the more you stay in it, the more things shrink down. All of that is so absolutely true. And the times I felt the most alive in my life ever were the times where I was pushing that boundary and doing the things that I knew were outside of my comfort zone, and forcing myself into those places, and just persevering and deciding I'm going to do it. I'm going to plop myself down over here right into the unknown. Like, I remember specifically, I mean, I went hard into it, and it just made me more lively, and it was just awesome. I remember times where I would just uh, put myself in embarrassing or awkward situations with people in public because I knew that once I got there, I would be there, and I'd have to work my way out of it. It would be uncomfortable, but great.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a thrill-seeking thing. It was really just like, I mean, maybe it was partially thrill-seeking because it was exciting and fun, and I could usually make it a funny moment and things people could remember. But um, it was a growing thing. It was a I found great joy in experiencing those things, and that's when I learned to, I suppose, embrace the awkward. And
Mm-hmm.
and if you can embrace the awkward, I mean, it really goes a long way.
That's huge.
So yeah. So yeah, I just agree with everything Joe was saying. I mean, absolutely.
Well, I agree with
I think
everything
it's
you were saying.
one of the key principles of moving forward in life and getting good at anything is recognizing that comfort zone and pushing through it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Well, yeah, thanks, Joe. I think
Well,
this was great.
you're a better friend, so that's how it works.
Screw you. No.
See? I told you.
Jerk.
You used the
Fine,
word
whatever.
screw. There were so many other words you could have used, but you didn't. You're
Yeah.
a better friend.
No. Screws are good. Screws are good. They hold things together.
Screws are good. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, all right. Well, Strawberry Paste, thank you so much for the topic. Hopefully, what we had to say helps and helps push you forward. And like I said, it's not that big a deal whether you do this or not, right? It's not a life or death situation. But in those
Mhm.
those non-life or death little moments, that are you really are either going forward or going backward in those little moments. And so we're really faced with those choices. Are we going to step forward and out, or are we going to sit back and shrink back? And if you can develop a habit of pushing forward and going forward, it's
Mm.
a great habit to develop, and you will feel more alive as a
Absolutely.
result. So I encourage
Absolutely.
you to just do it. Just do it. And don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Just like Neon Blue said at the beginning, it's okay.
Uh,
No expectations. No expectation. Don't even worry about it. Absolutely true. So, anyway, you guys are so awesome. Be a silly goose. Don't be a conforming snake. Absolutely. Be a goose. Extra teeth not required. Wait.
I just wrote in the comments why he said that.
Oh, they have teeth on their tongues?
Yeah. They go up this way from their tongues,
Oh,
like it's like pointed that way and weird. It's weird.
I have teeth on my tongues too.
Mm.
The roof of my mouth,
Beautiful.
man. One big callus.
Ouch. Yeah, I feel bad for cats, but I understand why they lick only one direction. Well, sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lion's tongue are basically sandpaper. Mhm.
Hey, next time I run into a lion, I'm going to check out its tongue. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that.
Wow, that's pretty cool. This was a nice thing to see for my last thing I ever saw. Let's go ahead and put your head right on my head. Yeah, thanks, bye.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
maybe that's not the ideal thing to do when you experience a giant cat.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. What a mighty tongue.
Don't push yourself through outside of that comfort zone. Like, it's
That's
okay to
true.
be comfortable
Mhm.
not not being in the lion's pen.
Well, as you were saying it about the how the comfort zone decreases in size over time, it makes sense as a survival technique, just because you are put into a scenario and there's all these different variables, And the more you come to familiarize each variable subconsciously, the more and more small and shrinking your comfort zone becomes, because you're like, well, I know that these things are comfortable. And slowly over time, you're going to find outliers that are like, okay, this was in my comfort zone, no longer comfortable, taking that out. And your brain is kind of just naturally going to try to find ways to find the very few, like just pushing everything away, not absorbing something new. You don't usually go like, oh, I can add this to my comfort zone because that feels comfortable. Usually it's just like, not that anymore, not that, not that, not that, not that. That's why we build walls and all that kinds of stuff.
Yep.
You know, we try to push things out, not have it more things incorporated.
Right.
So the more we can counteract that, and that's part of being human. That's what being human is, in a sense of being the elevated form of human, not just an animal, but like recognizing that that isn't a good principle to live by, and we can do so much more with our lives if we combat that natural behavior. So I thought that's so cool.
Saleh, it's okay to be uncomfortable with asbestos, even though it's the bestos. It's also the worstos.
That's great.
I like it. Yeah, and we can get beaten into our comfort zones too. Like our comfort zone can get smaller because we get beaten by people. Like we get beaten up, you know, psychologically or physically or whatever, you know, like all these things can make us fear, right? These things can cause us to shrink even smaller, right? So like all these things is the struggle of being a human, right? Because we're going to face these things. But the more, no matter what position you find yourself in currently, there is something you can do to take a step forward. There's something you can do to take a step out of that comfort zone. No matter how small of a step it is. It might seem like a silly, dumb, stupid little step, but it might make all the difference in the world because it might start a chain reaction of growth. And that can be really, really cool. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Don't beat people, beat songs. Give them tasty rhythms. Do it. But, all right. Well, hey, Strawberry Paste, thank you so much for your topic. I'm hoping that you move forward. And you know what? Reach out. Feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Free feel to reach out and
do that.
Make a friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can reach out to us anytime, you know, and that goes for all of you. You can reach out to us on Discord. You can reach out to us on our website, don'tworrywednesday.com. If you have a topic you would like us to discuss, go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and we'd be happy to check it out and go through it.
Please. Anything on your mind, even if it's something subtle or something you're like, I'm going to solve that no problem anyways.
Yep.
Feel free to post in here because we're still low on topics. We went through the 2 we had today.
Yeah.
So,
now we're going to be all right. We'll come up with some topics, but we much more like doing your topics.
Yeah, we would rather talk about what you guys and what's going on in your lives than our own.
Absolutely.
I mean, we wouldn't even talk about what's going on in our lives probably if we had but we do have one topic. Hey, thank you. I don't actually know who posted this, but someone gave us a new topic during the stream. So thank you so much.
Thank you, who you are.
Whoever you are, thank you. You're the best.
Was that you, Baka? Baka says I did add to the list.
Well, there it is. Yeah, it is Baka.
Okay,
submitted by Baka.
Thank you, Baka. You're awesome.
Thank you. I love you. Appreciate you so much.
Submit problems. Submit victories, too. You can submit whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Or if there's anything.
Yeah.
Or even if it's silly and it's funny and you just want to see us, if you want to try and stump us with something that you think we don't know anything about, we know everything about everything. I mean, really. So try.
Yeah. Try us. You can be like, hey, I've been in college for 4 years on this one subject and I've deep dive. Yeah, you try to bring it to us and stump us on that one even. Not gonna happen.
Yep.
We know everything, and we are not a substitute for psychologists or therapists. So and we aren't professional, but we do know everything. So
Yeah. Riku's going to
um,
submit the solution and we
no.
will figure out the problem. You can try that
Oh,
too.
oh,
That'd be a fun show.
that's fun. That's fun.
The
That's a
solution
weird one.
is
Wow.
42.
Oh man. So the problem was the meaning of life.
Yes. No.
Hmm.
Life,
And
the
everything in the
universe,
universe.
and everything.
Ah. Okay.
But that's not a question.
But that is a problem,
It is a problem.
apparently.
Life, the universe, and everything is a problem.
Uh-huh. That's right. That's right. So the answer was
Let me tell you
42.
what, the answer is 42. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you for hanging out with us. Come back next week. We do not have a stream set up for next week yet, but there will be one, just so you know. Just I had set up a whole bunch in advance, and then I was like, oh, we're on the last one, and here we are. Okay, so, but rest assured, we will be back next Wednesday, and it'll be fun. So come back and see us. Again, go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Hit us up in Discord. We would love to hear from you guys. And until next week, have a wonderful, wonderful life. We love you, and we'll see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Take care, you guys.
Bye, guys. Peace.
Bye-bye.